What's up, everybody? Kenny G here, coming at you with another video. Today we're going to be talking about Pat the NES Punk and his bad hot takes that seem to be come out every week. I'm constantly hearing about this guy, even though I don't follow him at all. I even blocked his content because I just can't handle this guy. In fact, I don't really understand why people are a fan of this guy. He is like super negative, seems to generally just hate everything, and is basically like doing a podcast that he doesn't really want to do, and he sort of hates gaming or everything surrounding gaming, but is still doing it because it makes money. That's sort of the vibe he always gives off. Now, in the most recent CU podcast, he was covering the DualSense controller for the PS5, and he just made it abundantly clear why he should not be talking about anything to do with modern video games. And that is just, oh my god. Can I just, I'm just gonna play you the sound clip and then we'll go from there, okay? He's talking specifically about the DualSense 5, which is similar to this, which is the DualShock 4 controller. And basically he's got issues. He doesn't understand that most people in the year 2020, most games require the use of both analog sticks to control the camera and control your character. Very, very common. Literally in about every single game you've got that's on a modern console that works in 3 dimensions. Yeah, pretty much everything. I mean, some cameras do try to orient behind the character, but you do usually have to use the right analog to adjust the camera a lot. Anyways, let's play the clip.
Most of the time, you're not using 2 analogs. In most games, you're using 1.
I wouldn't say that. For most modern games, you're leaning on that second analog.
Ian's correct here.
Pretty heavily. If it's
Why using the first one?
Huh?
I'm talking, how many games are you using both at the same time?
Anything modern that you're dealing with a camera.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not using the digital to move in a first-person shooter instead of that?
What's a digital?
Like a WASD. That's what I would use.
No,
it's more precise.
It's 2 joysticks.
WASD. Where is the WASD on this thing? I don't know. I guess he maybe means the D-pad. Are you using this to move your character and this to adjust the camera at the same time? You know how inconvenient that would be? I guess you could do it like this, right? But even that, like, the 2 analogs are way more accurate than trying to do this. Like, what the heck?
WASD, that's what I would
Anyways,
use.
just
Precise.
Unbelievable that this guy has no idea what's going on in modern gaming, and yet he's running a podcast that gets tens of thousands of views and 200,000 subscribers, and he has no idea about anything to do with modern games, but he will commentate on modern games. He's and just recently had like bad hot takes. Like there was something about the Amico, and then before that, last year it was about was it Diablo Immortal? Was that 2 years ago now? He had a bad take on that, and then before that he had a bad take on PewDiePie, which is like the golden child of YouTube. And it's just like, this guy just, I think, is just clueless on anything beyond the year 1995. Like, the PlayStation dropped and he checked out. I mean, let's look in the background of his video here. I can't show you guys because I'm sure he'll strike my video. But it's basically all, oh no, he's got some TurboGrafx stuff, and it looks like maybe some PlayStation stuff there. But I don't understand how this guy does not understand video games in the year 2020, but runs a podcast about video games and wants to commentate on modern video games without knowing anything about them. I mean, bare minimum, if you want to keep up the illusion, please Google it for 5 minutes before you do a video on it. I mean, that's what I did before doing this video. I had to look him up, watch his video, understand what he's saying, so when I commentate on it, I know what the heck I'm talking about, okay? It's just common sense here. Anyways, let's move ahead. There's still more. Okay, so now here is the second part of his take on modern controllers, and just something that is probably gonna make you cringe, made me cringe when I heard it. So let me just play you the clip and then we'll, you know, discuss it just a little bit.
They're still they're not concave versus convex, those buttons. You can't tell them by touch what they are on the PS4 controller.
No, you can't tell.
What the? Can we do that? Can we do that?
You can't tell on any modern. There's no the only system that ever did that was the Super, and frankly, I didn't like it.
Okay, so he's talking about this right here. This is an 8-bit DOE controller, but same thing. You've got convex, concave, convex, right? And it's being able to tell which button is which by the shape of the button. But this goes beyond that, so let's keep going.
You didn't like that?
No.
It was great. Sometimes you don't know. Like, it's, oh, I know where I'm feeling. It's X and Y or versus A and B. I always, and to this day, hate that I don't know where the square is versus the X on a PlayStation controller. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, let me get a PS4 controller. This is there's only 4 face buttons, guys. There's only 4 face buttons for playing. I mean, there's the start button, there's the options button, or the options button and the share button, sorry, and the touchpad. But the touchpad doesn't get used very much, and the others are triggers. But, I mean, how can you be confused about where square, or any button that, for that matter, is in relation to another button, whether it's X square, triangle, circle, A, B, X, Y, whatever. How can you be confused where a button is if you've actually used the controller? I mean, hell, get your TV remote. I bet you guys have all watched TV in the middle of the night and been like, I want to change the channel or turn off the TV, and it's dark, right? You know because you've used it and you've learned where buttons are relative to others, so you can feel where one is, and then you know the layout. I mean, that's just how the brain works. I mean, hell, guys, hang on one second. Okay, here is my keyboard. Don't mind the fact that it's like lame LEDs, but when you type, right? I really shouldn't have to explain this, but for anyone out there who's like, you know, Pat, when you type, there's these little nubs on the J key and the F key. You put your fingers like this, and you can type in the dark. Everyone's probably done it, and they do it because they know where the buttons are in relation to the other buttons. So same thing when you're holding your PlayStation control, you know where your thumb falls naturally on the X, and then from there you can figure out where all the other buttons. I'm talking like preaching to the choir, basically. You guys know this. Everyone knows this. If you want to run a podcast, fine, whatever. Do it on vintage, old school stuff, or talk about wrestling, which he does sometimes, or whatever. Don't do it on modern games if you know nothing about modern games. Don't commentate on modern games if you have no clue what you're talking about and can't even spend 5 minutes to Google it. I mean, literally, like any controller, you learn where the buttons are in relation to the other buttons. That's just, if you listen to his podcast, this exact one, you will hear that Ian is actually the voice of reason in this particular case, and basically says that you sound like one of those characters from an infomercial that struggles to, you know, butter some bread or put on his own pants. Anyways, that's all I'm gonna really say on Pat for the time being. I know this guy gets super butthurt whenever anyone's critical of him, but I am a small channel, so I'm sure he's not going to care what I have to say. But I'm curious what you guys have to say about his coverage, not just here, but also his other controversies like the Amico stuff, Rich the Review Tech stuff, the what was the one before that? Diablo Immortal, and before that the PewDiePie take, and there are other hot takes in between and other controversies this guy has been involved in that basically are just nonsense, him just talking out of his butthole. Anyways, guys, that's really all there is to say for the time being. Leave me some feedback down below. Give us a thumbs up if you agree. You can give me a thumbs down if you disagree with what I've had to say here. Any feedback is always appreciated because that's the only way this channel grows. Leave us feedback so that we know what to talk about, what's interesting, what people find interesting, what is worth covering, because that's the only, like I said, that's the only way the channel grows. Otherwise, we're just shooting in the dark, hoping to, you know, provide content that people want to watch. Anyways, that's all for now. See you in the next video.
Hey guys, this is Lydia. If you like what you see, hit that like button as it helps our channel gain exposure. Also consider smashing subscribe. If you like our content, it would really mean a lot and helps our channel grow. If you want to interact with us, leave a comment down below or follow us on Twitch at super_dorkalicious. We'll see you next time.